Recent observations of the interstellar object 3I Atlas have revealed a 10th fundamental anomaly that adds to 9 other discoveries, contradicting established models of cometary behavior. Data obtained on the 11th of November 2025 by the Nordic Optical Telescope demonstrate that this object maintains characteristics that are physically inconsistent with natural comets, constituting the most complex case of anomalous object ever documented. The images were captured by David Jewett and Jane Liu using the 2.56 meter diameter telescope located in La Palma, Canary Islands. The data show a prominent elongation in brightness at a position angle of 106 degrees, with an error margin of plus or minus 10 degrees, close to the projected solar direction of 115 degrees. At the time of observations, 3I Atlas was located 1.43 astronomical units from the Sun and 2.16 astronomical units from Earth. The imaged region spans approximately 500,000 kilometers in width. Spectroscopic analyses revealed that the long-range jet structures evident in wide-field photographs are not detectable in this data due to the use of R-band filter, which excluded most gaseous emission lines. According to calculations by Dr. Avi Loeb, large-scale observations documented jets extending approximately 1 million kilometers toward the Sun and 3 million kilometers in the opposite direction. For a natural comet, the expected outflow velocity of these jets would be approximately 0.4 kilometers per second, corresponding to the sound speed of gas at 3I Atlas's orbital distance. Based on this velocity, Loeb determined that the observed jets must have persisted for a period of 1 to 3 months. The calculated mass density is several million proton masses per cubic centimeter at a distance of 1 million kilometers from the object. As demonstrated by Avi Loeb, the product of this density times the outflow velocity results in a mass flux of 5 billion tons per month per area of 1 million square kilometers. Dr. Avi Loeb calculated that carbon dioxide ice sublimation requires 600 joules per gram. To sublimate approximately 5 billion tons of carbon dioxide during the 1-month perihelion passage period, 3I Atlas should have absorbed at least 3 quintillion joules of energy. According to Loeb's analyses, at perihelion distance, solar radiation provides 700 joules per square meter per second, requiring an absorption area greater than 1,600 square kilometers to achieve the necessary energetic values. This area, as demonstrated by Loeb, corresponds to a sphere with a 23-kilometer diameter for carbon dioxide sublimation or 51 kilometers for water sublimation. These values are 4 to 9 times larger than the maximum diameter of 5.6 kilometers inferred from Hubble Space Telescope data. As Avi Loeb observes, in natural cometary nuclei, ice pockets cover only a small fraction of the total surface, making the calculated values physically unsustainable for 3 Atlas as a single body that maintained its structural integrity. This constitutes the 10th documented anomaly, the energetic impossibility of maintaining cometary activity with the observed dimensions. To understand the magnitude of this 10th anomaly, it is fundamental to examine the 9 previously documented anomalies that establish 3I Atlas as the most anomalous object ever observed. First anomaly, aligned retrograde trajectory. 3I Atlas moves in the opposite direction to planetary movement, but aligned to less than 5 degrees with the ecliptic plane. The probability of this configuration is only 0.2%, therefore making it extremely unlikely to occur naturally. Second anomaly, solar-directed jet. Between July and August 2025, it developed a jet pointing directly toward the Sun, an anti-tail, that completely contradicts established cometary behavior, where tails always point away from the Sun due to solar wind. The probability of this behavior is unprecedented, therefore representing a completely new phenomenon. Third anomaly, inverted size-velocity relationship, presents exceptional dimensions combined with high velocity, violating energy conservation principles where larger objects tend to have lower velocities. The probability of this configuration is less than 0.1%. therefore indicating a highly anomalous physical state. Fourth anomaly, multiple orbital synchronization. Precise timing for close passages of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter remaining invisible from Earth during perihelion. The probability of this synchronization is 0.005%, therefore representing odds of 5 inches, 100,000. Fifth anomaly, industrial metallic composition. nickel-iron proportions similar to terrestrial industrial alloys, incompatible with known primordial cometary compositions. The probability of this composition occurring naturally is less than 1%, therefore suggesting non-natural origins. Sixth anomaly, extreme water deficiency. Only 4% water by mass, contrasting with the typical 60 to 80% of natural comets, challenging the basic definition of a cometary object. The probability of this deficiency is highly unusual, therefore contradicting fundamental cometary characteristics. Seventh anomaly, extreme negative polarization. Reflected light polarization pattern never observed in natural comets, including the provenly natural 2I Borisov. The probability of this polarization pattern is less than 1%, therefore representing a unique optical signature. Eighth anomaly, correlation with signal. Directional origin coincident within a 9-degree margin of the famous 1977 radio signal, considered the best evidence of extraterrestrial communication. The probability of this correlation is 0.6%, therefore suggesting a potential connection to the most significant SETI detection. Ninth anomaly, impossible blue brightness. Luminous intensity, near perihelion, superior to any known comet, with coloration bluer than the sun, physically inexplicable with conventional cometary material. The probability of this brightness pattern is recently discovered, therefore representing an entirely new category of anomalous behavior. Dr. Avi Loeb argues that this convergence of 10 statistically improbable anomalies constitutes cumulative evidence that requires explanation within current scientific paradigms. The combined probability of these anomalies occurring simultaneously in a natural object is astronomically low. Loeb quotes Einstein, "Knowledge is realizing that the street is one way, wisdom is looking both ways anyway." This perspective suggests the need to consider alternative hypotheses to conventional models. One theoretical possibility proposed by Loeb involves technological thrusters that direct exhaust gases toward the sun, resulting in acceleration in the direction opposite to the orbit. This post-perihelion maneuver could be employed by a spacecraft with the objective of gaining velocity through solar gravitational assistance. The data analyzed by Dr. Avi Loeb demonstrate that 3I Atlas exhibits 10 independent characteristics that collectively challenge our current understanding of cometary dynamics and physics. The statistical convergence of these anomalies constitutes an unprecedented phenomenon that requires rigorous scientific investigation. As Loeb emphasizes, the scientific community must apply the same methodological rigor used to validate conventional discoveries when examining evidence that suggests non-conventional origins. Scientific integrity requires impartial consideration of all hypotheses compatible with observational data. As expected, this convergence of 10 anomalies is causing a veritable earthquake in the scientific community. Dr. Avi Loeb, who is a professor of astrophysics at Harvard and one of the world's leading authorities on interstellar objects, argues that when you have data that simply doesn't fit existing models, you need to expand your hypotheses, even if that means considering extraordinary possibilities. It's important to make clear that Loeb isn't banging the gavel and saying it's aliens. What he's doing is pure science, presenting the data, calculating the probabilities, and as he himself says, look, this evidence doesn't match what we know about natural comets. We need to investigate other possibilities. Naturally, this is generating significant resistance. Many colleagues criticize Loeb for being too speculative, but he responds with an interesting observation. Science has always advanced when someone had the courage to question what everyone accepted as absolute truth. Think about historical precedents. Galileo was persecuted for suggesting that Earth revolved around the sun. Einstein was ridiculed when he proposed relativity. The scientific community has a natural tendency to resist ideas that challenge established paradigms. What makes Loeb's position particularly solid is that he's following exactly the traditional scientific method. He's not inventing crazy theories, as Loeb demonstrates in his analyses. He's looking at concrete data that shows extremely low statistical probabilities, and, as he puts it, we need more evidence to understand what's happening here. The fundamental question isn't whether we should immediately accept that 3I Atlas is a spacecraft. The question is whether we'll maintain scientific objectivity when confronted with evidence that doesn't fit our expectation. As Loeb himself observes, scientific progress has always come from scientists willing to look beyond conventional knowledge. The correct protocol now is simple: more observations, independent analyses by different research groups, and honest evaluation of all hypotheses that are compatible with the data. According to Loeb, only this way will we be able to determine if we're dealing with an extremely rare natural phenomenon or something completely different. And regardless of what we discover about 3I Atlas specifically, this case is establishing an important precedent for how science should approach anomalous interstellar objects in the future. As Loeb emphasizes, the scientific community needs to be prepared to investigate objectively, even when the data points to possibilities that challenge our current understanding of the universe.